Having policies for your daycare is not only a great way to protect yourself, your home, and your business, but it also helps to keep parents and caregivers on the same page so that everybody knows what to expect from each other. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to write your own daycare policy handbook and contract, and we're also going to be talking about all of the policies that should be in your parent handbook to help better protect your business and keep everybody on the same page. So let's get into the most important things that should be in your policy handbook. So in your policy handbook, you're going to want to have your hours of operation. So in this, you're going to want to state when you're open. Are you open Monday through Friday from 7 to 6? You're going to want to write that clearly for parents. If you have extended hours, you'll also want to write that in your policy handbook as well. Something really important that you should have in your policy handbook is a late pickup policy. So personally, my policy is I charge $1 per 1 minute that you're late. So if you come 30 minutes late, that's a $30 fee. And this really just helps to ensure that parents are going to come and pick up their children on time, because a lot of times at the end of our day, we need to clean up, we want to get dinner ready, and we want to relax and get ready for the next day. Under your hours of operation, it's also going to be good to put the holidays that you're going to be closed for, and to also add in your vacation time. So do you take 2 weeks of vacation per year and you let the parents know a month in advance? These are things that you're going to want to have in your policy handbook. And it'll also be a good idea under this section to let parents know what their vacation time is. So personally, I give my parents 2 weeks of vacation every year. So under this section, you're going to want to have your hours of operation. You're going to want to have the holidays that you're going to be taking off. You're also going to want to state if you're going to be getting paid for those holidays, and you're also going to want to add in vacation time. So under this section, I have my enrollment requirements. So for example, in order for the children to be enrolled into my program and start daycare, they must have read my entire policy handbook, and at the end of my policy handbook, I also have a contract, and that contract basically states that the parent has read the policy handbook and that they agree to abide by all the policies and rules of the program. I also have their rate agreement. So if we agree that you're going to be paying $300 a week, we'll have that rate agreement signed as well. I also require a copy of the children's immunizations, any signed forms from the parent. So for example, if I have an infant, we need to have a sleeping form. So that form will basically say your infant is going to be sleeping in a pack and play, and we agree to that. I also require their blue card. So that will basically just have the child's first and last name, their birthday. It will have their address, and these are things that are required from the state. And I also have my own personal All About Me packet. So before the parent starts my daycare center, I have them fill out a packet that's all about their child, just so that I can better get to know the child and some of the things that are soothing and comforting and some of their favorite foods, and just learn a little bit more about the child. Now, right under the enrollment section, I have my payment procedure section. Now, under your payments procedures, you're going to want to have how you take payment. So are you going to be taking credit or debit card? Do you take check, cash? Also, if you're going to be taking checks, it's going to be a good idea to put in here that if a parent gives you a check and the check bounces, that there's going to be a fee for that. So my fee is $35 because my bank will charge me $25, and this will help to prevent that from happening again. I also have in my payments procedure section that I take payment Monday of the first week. So in the past, I used to take my payments on Friday. So I would watch the children all week, and on Friday, parents would bring the payment in. Sometimes Friday would come and parents wouldn't bring the payment in, and I had watched the children all week. So to better help my program and to better help the parent to be on time with their payment, I require payments now on Monday. So that's something that's in my payments procedure section. When are you looking for payment? And if payment is late, are you going to be charging? Are you going to charge $1 a day for late payment, $5 a day? And also you can add under this section how often you're going to be tolerating late payments. So for example, after 3 late payments, maybe you're going to say to the parent or guardian, hey, you know what? We've had 3 late payments, and in order to prevent this from happening in the future, I'm going to need to take payments in advance from you. And something also important under this payment section is that you're going to want to add in, are you going to be charging the parent even if the child is sick, right? Maybe you'll have 3 sick days a year that are unpaid, but then if the child is sick for a week, are you going to be charging for that time? Also, if you're going to be taking payments from the government, you're going to want to have under this section something covering that. So for example, if someone's government subsidy is going to end, you want to have under this section, it's up to the parents to pay you until they renew their policy with the government so that you can still have some form of payment. And once that payment comes in, then you can refund the parents. So however it is that you're going to set up your payment policies, you're going to want to make sure to cover all of that here. Now, some rules for entering your daycare. What are some things that you're expecting from the parents when they're coming in with the child? Are you expecting the parents to take the child's shoes and jacket off and hang up their belongings? Is that something that you're going to be doing? You can quickly just write up something in this section so that parents know what it is that you're expecting when they come to daycare. Personally, for me, when I have the parents come in, I don't allow any shoes in the daycare because we do have infants on the floor. So I'll put under this section that parents are required to put shoe coverings on or remove their shoes. And I also have in here that it's the responsibility of the parents to wash their children's hands when the children enter the daycare. So I like to have this stated here so that the parents know. I also have the parents take off their child's belonging and get their child settled into the daycare. Now, a signing in and an attendance records policy. So I just have stated here that I'll be signing the child in, and if children are not going to be coming to the center, for parents to call or text me by 8 a.m. This will help me to plan and prepare for my day. So for example, I'll know how many children to get breakfast ready for, and also if a child isn't going to be coming, we won't be sitting around wondering, should we go out, should we wait? This will help me to say, hey guys, let's go on a walk. Allison's not going to be coming in today. Also, something really important to have under this section is if someone else is going to be picking up the child, you do not want random people coming to the center saying, hey, I'm here to pick up Jason for the day. You always want to make sure that you have the consent of the parent in a written form, and you also want to make sure that that person is going to come with ID so that you know exactly who that person is. So under this section, I just have that quickly written up. If someone else is picking up your child, please let me know upon arrival and have a note stating who the person leaving with your child is. I will be requiring a photo ID from the person who's picking up your child. And this is really important to note because parents sometimes, they will have a grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle come to pick up the child and they haven't let you know, and you can't just let children leave with anybody. We have to know, and we can sometimes be sitting there trying to contact a parent and maybe they're in a business meeting or they're doing something important, and it can be a really rough situation for everyone involved, especially when the grandma is like, hey, that is my grandchild, and it's like, but this is also a safety procedure that I need to make sure that I'm covering to make sure that the child is not leaving with any person that I don't know about. Now, something that I like to have in my policy handbook, and I would also recommend for you guys to have in your handbook, is a clothing code. So if parents are going to be sending their children with flip-flops and the child were to get hurt, that ultimately can be a liability on our end as childcare providers. So in order to protect the children, I have in my policy handbook that I require either sneakers or closed-toed shoes for the day. Also in this section, maybe you're going to want to note that you do not recommend sending the children with their nicest clothes to daycare, as we do go outside, we play, we paint, we get messy. And under this section, it'll be a good idea to note whether you, the childcare provider, is going to be having extra clothes that you provide for children if they have an accident, or if you're going to be requiring the parents to bring and leave extra clothing at the center. So in this section, I also have all of the items that are needed from home. So I require a labeled bag, which will basically have your child's name on it, and it will have extra spare clothing, diapers, any of their ointments or sunscreen. This will also have rain boots and extra socks, spare clothing, and weather appropriate clothing. Now, a really big policy is your sick policy. When one child gets sick in daycare, everybody else can get sick. And you will find as a daycare provider that parents will drop children off sick to the center, and sicknesses can spread so fast. So your sick policy is a very big one that you want to have in your policy handbook. So what kind of sicknesses do you allow and do you not allow in your daycare? You want to cover this. So for example, I do not allow excessive draining from the mouth, nose, eyes, or ears. I also do not allow pink eye, skin rashes, vomiting or diarrhea, difficulty breathing, discoloration of the skin, a temperature of 100 or higher, lice, or any communicable diseases or illnesses. I also have stated here that if your child has any of the above, that the child recovers at home, that the sickness is gone for 24 hours, and that the parent also comes back with a signed doctor's note. Under sickness policy, I also have in here what we would do if all of a sudden the child were to become sick in daycare. So if the child starts throwing up, I'm going to need parents to be able to come and pick up the child, or have somebody who can come and pick up the child. And under this section, I also have medications. I was never MAT certified, so I never administered medications to the child. But if you are MAT certified, you're going to want to have detailed what medications you can give to the child, and just really cover all those areas. Also, another really big important area to cover in this section is allergies. So if the child is allergic to shellfish or nuts or milk, you want to have the parents let you know what the child is allergic to, if they're going to be having an EpiPen, and if any children are allergic to anything in your program, I would always recommend writing down the child's name. So Jason, allergic to peanuts, and having it set on the wall just so that you know and you're always aware of it. Okay, so now under this section, I have meals. So are the parents going to be bringing in the meals? Are you going to be providing the meals? Are you going to be on a meal program with the state? You can cover those things right in this section. And then right under that, I go right into child abuse and neglect. So as daycare providers, as teachers, as educators, we are mandated reporters, and this is important to let the parents know. So if there's any abuse or suspected neglect or abuse, we by law have to report it. So this is something that you just want to put here in your policy handbook so that parents know. Optional, but also a good policy to maybe add in, is your potty training policy. So for example, if the child isn't able to walk, or they're not able to pull their pants up or down, or if the child isn't able to communicate that they need to go to the bathroom, then maybe potty training isn't going to be the right time at your center, even though a parent would want to start potty training at home. So I like to just add a little potty training policy. Now, another really important policy to have is a discipline policy and your behavior management policy. So for example, if a child is, let's say, throwing toys and hitting another child, what is it that you're going to do in that situation? Are you going to redirect them? Are you going to focus on the do's rather than the don'ts? Are you going to offer children choices? Are you going to praise positive behavior? In this section, it'll also be good to let the parents know what you expect. So if a child is constantly coming into the daycare and they are throwing toys at other children and hurting other children, and you have implemented all of these things, you have redirected them and you have encouraged them to use nice words and be nice to their friends, and they're still hurting others in the classroom, what is it that you're going to do from there? Are you going to have a meeting with the parent? Are you going to give the child a few strikes before you say, hey, you know what, this just isn't working out. I would have loved to continue to take care of your child, but unfortunately they're hurting other members of the classroom. So this is going to be important to have that as well. Now, right under my discipline and behavior management policies, I go into my daily routine. So my daily routine was always hung up right on my wall so parents can see it there, but I just like to add that in here just so that parents know, you know, when you come in at 7:30, it's going to be free play. We have breakfast at 8:30. This is what time lunch is. This is what time we go outside. And it's a nice way for the parents to have their own copy and just know what their children are doing throughout the day. And now under this, I have my telephone communication. So if parents are expecting to talk on the phone during daycare, maybe you're gonna wanna say, hey, you guys are more than welcome to call me, but it is not guaranteed that I'm gonna respond during my business hours as I am watching the children. And I wanna make sure that my eyes and ears are always with the children throughout the day. So feel free to send me a text message, leave me a voicemail. And if there's ever a problem, we can maybe set up a meeting to talk after my business hours. Another big one to have is pictures and videos of the children. As childcare providers, we do not have the right to just post children's pictures onto Facebook or Instagram or any social media sites. If we're going to be doing that, we should always have the consent of the parent. Now, also the use of the property. So I let parents know in this that smoking is prohibited on my property. In this section, I also let parents know that it's not okay for children to play in the garden area, as we try to keep it nice and maintain it so it looks nice on the outside. And I also let parents know that it's always okay to park in the front of our house, but it's not okay to park in the driveway, as they could be blocking my husband from, let's say, leaving and going to work. Now, the most important thing that I would recommend having in your policy handbook is end it with the contract page. So that contract page is going to say that the parent has read the policy handbook, that they agree to all the policies and procedures of the program, they agree to the sick policies, they agree to the payment policies, and all the policies basically that we talked about. I also like to add the date on here. The parents and the guardians will sign this. I myself will sign this. We also have the child's name and the child's rate on here. So if the child is paying $250 a week, I'll have that stated on here. This is basically just going to protect you if you did have to have a meeting with the parent, or if things ultimately weren't working out and parents weren't paying you. This is the agreement that you're always going to have set in place to protect you if you needed to stop care with a certain child because things weren't working out with a family. I thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope that you found it helpful, and as always, I hope that you all have a blessed day and a blessed week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.